Okay, it is 11 o'clock, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for an overview of Blackboard Collaborate. This is the tool that we're going to start using in place of Adobe Connect, which will start beginning in Adobe Connect should go away next summer. So you have plenty of time to play around with both tools. And to get comfortable using Blackboard Collaborate when you start doing virtual sessions. So my goal for today is to get you comfortable using the tool and to give you an overview of how the tool works and to give you hands-on experience using the tool as well. So you'll see on the very first slide when you came into the session, this is the understanding the interface. This is what everything means that you're seeing on your screen right now when you first come in. And it's what everything is called. And what I'm going to be doing throughout the session is comparing Blackboard Collaborate with Adobe Connect. And if you're not familiar with Adobe Connect, it's okay. You'll just focus on how to use Blackboard Collaborate. So first thing, I want to make sure that you can hear me. So in order to let me know that you can hear me, if you look on my screenshot that I'm sharing with you, in the bottom middle of the screen, you have what's called an interaction bar. And what that's doing is giving you a blank icon and a green check mark. If you take your mouse and click on that green check mark, you're going to get different ways of communicating with me non-verbally. So you're going to be able to tell me how you're doing in this session so far. So if you wouldn't mind everyone clicking on that green check mark in the bottom middle of your screen and just letting me know that you can hear me okay by choosing one of those options. All right, thank you, Jennifer, Marianne. I can see both of you put smiley faces on. So I'll just wait. It's the bottom middle of the screen, green check mark. Just click right on that green check mark with your mouse and choose any option that you want that you see appear in that menu. Thank you, Lois. Thank you, Bridget. And thank you, Gary. All right, very good. So throughout the session, any time that you feel that you need to communicate with me as the moderator non-verbally, these are great. This is a great symbol to use. So that section down in the lower middle is called your interaction bar. You will notice that you have in the lower right-hand corner of your screen a purple area with arrows pointing to the left. This is called your Collaborate panel. And if you click on that icon with your mouse, you're going to notice that you have 4 icons at the bottom of your screen. So the first icon that you see there, I'm looking at the bottom, the 4 icons. The first icon that you see there looks like a call-out icon. This is for chat. So what you'll do is click on that icon with your mouse, and this is a way for you to be able to chat with everyone in the session. So if everybody can click on that icon and go ahead and just type in a quick good morning message where it says say something in the box right above that icon. You'll also notice that you have emoticons as well that you can attach to this message. All you have to do is click on the yellow smiley face and choose another emoticon if you want to. So I'm just getting you used to using the tools in Blackboard Collaborate. TGIF is right. It's been a long week. Now, one thing I do want to mention while you're in the chat, at the very top of the screen, you see where it says everyone. if you click on everyone, you are actually able to chat with everyone in particular, or you can just chat with me as the moderator. So you can send me a private message that not everybody will get. And in the find someone to chat with, you can just start typing in someone's name, and you can actually have a private chat with them. And I will have no idea that you are chatting. This is actually a setting that you can set when you're setting up your session. You can turn that private chat off so that if you're giving a session, especially with students, you can turn that feature off so that students can't private chat with each other. And I'll show you how to do that. So for right now, I'm going to stick with the chat where I'm chatting with everyone. So I'm just going to click back on the everyone option so that I can see all of the chats that have been going on so far. Okay, so does anybody have any questions on how to use the chat? It's pretty straightforward. Just typing in the message using the emoticons. I noticed nobody used any of the emoticons. Ah, there we go, Kevin. Thank you. There, that's for all of you. Spreading the love.
LOL.
The next icon that you see down at the bottom of your screen is this lets you know who's on the session, and it lets you know how many people are on the session. So all you have to do is click on that icon to see who has joined, and you can see what their roles are, whoever the moderator is, and who the participants are. Okay, so that's that. The next icon that you see is a way for you to share content. And right now, all you are is a participant of this session, so you're not actually able to share anything. All you are able to do is to be a passive participant of this session. So you're at the mercy of me to be able to share information with you. But once I grant you the permission to share files, this is the area that you would go into to do that. And the very last icon that you see looks like a cogwheel. This is where you'll see your settings. So if everybody clicks on that My Settings option, this is where you can see if you're having trouble with your camera or your microphone, this is where you can set it up. And what's really nice about Collaborate is it has the built-in phone option, which Gary is using. So at any time, if you're having trouble with audio, all you have to do is click on that icon, and you can use your telephone to call in, and it gives you a phone number and a PIN. It's built right in. You don't need an extra service like you do in Adobe Connect in order to use that, and it records the voice as well. So that's a really nice feature of Blackboard Collaborate. But I think what you're going to find when you start using this tool is the voice quality in Blackboard Collaborate is 100 times better than what you've ever found in Adobe Connect. But it's nice to know that you have that phone option as well. So if you scroll down in your My Settings option, you're going to notice that you also have a notification settings area. And if you click on that arrow to the right of notification settings, that drop-down arrow, now you're going to determine for yourself what kind of notifications do you want to receive as a participant. Do you care if someone has joined or left the breakout group or session? Someone posts a chat message, how do you want to be notified? Or if closed captioning is available, do you want a visual notification to determine that? So if you don't want any of those things, you just uncheck it. So that's your My Settings option. Now, one of the things I want to point out to you in the My Settings is up at the top of the screen. You will notice that you have a blank circular area and then it should have your name to the right of that. And then you should have a word that says present underneath there. You will notice in Blackboard Collaborate that there's multiple ways of getting to the same options. So, for example, if you click on the drop-down arrow where it says present, this is the same options that you saw in the middle bottom of your screen icons when you click on the green check mark. So this is another way for you to determine, to let me know non-verbally how you're doing in the session. But I also want you to click on the circle to the left of your name. And if you hover your mouse over that, it's going to turn into a pencil. And that's your visual cue that you're able to edit this. So if you click on the pencil, this is a way for you to upload a profile picture of yourself, so that it's not just the default gray profile that you see. This is a way for you to upload an image that represents who you are. So you'll notice for me, I have a picture of myself, and I also come in as a student as well, and I put in the FCTL logo to let you know that this is a Faculty Center student that is also joining the session. So you're welcome to upload an image that represents you right now, and if you don't have an image, you'll notice that there's a spot that says capture photo from camera, so you can actually take a picture right now and use that as your photo. So we'll get into a little bit of best practices when you start doing a session in Collaborate. I tend not to use the video so much as I do using my profile picture when I'm doing my session. Because that way, my profile picture always remains stable, and I don't have to worry about what's happening in the video or how I'm looking in the video when I'm speaking to you. And you still have an idea of what I look like. So when I'm doing a professional presentation on Collaborate, I'll try to use a more professional picture. So has anybody changed their setting? Oh, good, Kevin. So Kevin's got auto in as his image. The way that I can see that is I just went back to the participants option where it says the number 10, and you can see the little icons next to everybody's name. So I'll just give you a minute to take a look at that. If you don't have any interest in doing a profile picture for yourself, you can just give me an icon to let me know to keep going. Or just chat with me and say, Jeff, we're good. Ah, Bridget, very cool. You got, what is that, a dog? Okay to go. Thanks, Gary. All right. Just reading your chats. All right, thank you. All right. So that's that. The Collaborate panel that I just described to you. When you don't want to see that panel anymore, you can just click on the purple X in the lower right-hand corner, and it collapses the panel so that now you see more of the screen and less of what's in that panel. You're going to notice in Blackboard Collaborate you don't have pods. The only thing you have is exactly what you see on the screen. So and those options that I just showed you, those are the only options. You have nothing else. So it's not like you can add in another pod and be able to show a video in one pod and share a file in another pod. You can't do that in Collaborate. You can only share one thing at a time. So you're either sharing a file or a video one at a time. You can't do both. So that's going to be different for a lot of people who are used to using Blackboard or who are used to using Adobe Connect. The next section that I want to bring to your attention is in the upper left-hand corner, where you see 3 lines. So if you take your mouse and click on that icon in the upper left-hand corner, that's called the session menu. And what you're going to see here is the option where you're going to be able to use your phone for audio if for whatever reason you're having problems with your audio, and if you click on that option, it will give you a phone number and a PIN. And the phone number stays the same, but the PIN number changes per session. You can also report an issue in this section. You can click on for Blackboard Collaborate Help, and these are help files. And you can also tell me about Collaborate. You're sending information back to Blackboard when you click on that option. And then way down at the bottom of that section, you'll see where it says Leave Session. So this is where you'll go when you're done. You just click on that option, and it will close out the browser window for you. To get rid of that panel, just click on the X in the upper left-hand corner, and it collapses that panel, where now you just see the 3 lines again. Does anybody have any questions on anything that I've shown you so far? You could just give me an icon. Okay, Kevin's good. It's good. Thank you, Kevin. All right, very good. Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Jen. Okay, so I showed you the 2 areas. You have the main display window, which is what you're seeing when I'm sharing this understanding the interface file with you. It's called the media space. And you'll also see in the upper right-hand corner of this file that I'm sharing with you, you got to look in the file that I'm sharing with you. It's called Change View Mode. You're only going to see that if I'm not sharing anything with you. So that's when that will appear. Now, one thing I want to mention to you guys, well, actually, before I mention that to you, let me just talk about the interaction bar at the bottom. If you want to speak anytime during the session, you just click on that microphone, and you may get a message that pops up saying, do you grant Collaborate to take over your microphone? You just say yes or allow, and it will allow you to talk. So if you have a computer that does not have a camera or a microphone, you're not going to be able to use that option. So you have to have some type of microphone attached to your computer in order to be able to speak during the session. If you have a webcam, typically webcams have a built-in microphone in them. So a lot of times it'll just pick up that microphone from the webcam so that you can do video and voice at the same time. And then the last icon that you see in the interface interaction bar is raising your hand. So this is a way for you to tell me that you have a question. So Marianne, are you raising your hand to just test it, or do you actually have a question? So you can send me a chat message, or you can turn on your microphone if you'd like. I have a question. I clicked on the microphone and it says I don't have access. Okay, so yeah, don't have permission. Okay, so that's a setting that we'll have to figure out on your computer as a way of giving you access, or a way of giving Blackboard access to your microphone. A lot of times what happens, depending on the browser that you're using, it pops up a message typically at the top of the screen that says allow permission. So sometimes you have to look around for that message depending on the browser that you're using. Speaking of browsers, the best browsers to use for a Blackboard Collaborate session are either Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox. Those are the 2 browsers that Blackboard recommends. And I would encourage you to use those browsers in general when you're using Blackboard. Try to stay away from Microsoft Edge or Echo, whatever they call their new browser. Definitely Internet Explorer, do not use that browser. Okay, a couple things that I want to mention to you while we are understanding the interface of the screen. So Blackboard Collaborate uses what's called WebRTC. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing this. And then you'll notice that your interface has changed on your screen. And you're going to see all of our profiles, for those of us who put profile pictures in there. And I'm going to share with you a whiteboard. And I'm going to type in what it is that I'm talking about. So Blackboard uses what's called WebRTC. And what this means, the RTC means real-time connection. So Collaborate is constantly monitoring your connection, and it's making sure that you have the best connection in the session at all times. So it's constantly reaching out into the internet, trying to find the best connection for you. So it's working behind the scenes to keep your connection good. So that's what the RTC means, monitoring you as you're going through the session. The maximum number of people that you can have in one session. Somebody have a question? Did you figure it out, Marianne? Okay, not sure. Okay, the maximum number of people that you can have in one session is 500. So just an FYI for you, if you ever have a session where you're planning on having a big session, it's good to know how many people you can have max. Now here's the thing you want to think about. You can only have 5 microphones on at one time. So you can only click on that microphone at the bottom of your screen. The first 5 people that click on the microphone are the only 5 that are going to have access to your session. The 6th person that tries to click on the microphone, it's not going to work. So 5 is the max. That is not including those people who call in on the phone. There is no maximum when it comes to those people. It's only the ones who are trying to access the microphone in the bottom of the screen. Let's see. You do have the ability to do breakout rooms, and the maximum number of breakout rooms that you can have in one session is 20. And when you create a Collaborate session, it's always open. So all you need is the link, and as long as you keep the session open, because you'll find when I show you how to create a Collaborate session in Blackboard, you're going to be able to put a start and end time on that session. You can say never end, and anybody who has the link to the session will always be able to go in. Now keep in mind that you are participants, so you're only going to be able to go into the session as a participant, which means you're not going to be able to do anything, but at least you'll be able to access the room itself. So those are the main things I wanted to make sure I pointed out. I am in what's called the whiteboard right now, and I'm sharing this with you. I want you to notice that at the top of your screen, you have whiteboard tools available to you. And this is a setting that I turned on when I created this session. And I said participants can have the ability to interact with the whiteboard or with anything that I'm sharing with you. So you can click on any one of those icons at the top of the screen, and you can start writing on the whiteboard. So I see somebody's drawing a squiggly line. You're going to see that you have a pointer finger, you have a pencil, you have shapes, you have text, and you have colors. Very good, so creative. Now what I have is the ability to clear the whiteboard. So I just click on one icon and it's erased and we can start over. And you'll notice that when you click on one of those icons, it stays. So you can keep clicking around on the whiteboard and just keep adding more and more text for those of you that chose text. We have a couple people who want to test out the pointer. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention to you that if you create text and you want to move that text around, what you'll do is click on the Select tool, the very first icon, and then you can click and drag the text that you made somewhere else on the screen. Yeah, and you can make the text bigger as well by clicking and dragging the size handles that you have around the text. That's how you make the text bigger. Oof. Oh, that was nice of you to say, whoever said that. Thanks for that. So you get the idea. Now I want you to notice this. So I'm going to stop sharing the whiteboard. And I'm going to share the understanding the interface again. Okay? Now you can use those tools, same tools, and you can draw on my slide that I'm sharing with you, or my image. So maybe you want to point something out to me specifically, maybe you have a question on about this slide or about this image. You're able to do that. Yeah. You completely destroyed my image that I showed of the nice woman in the middle of the screen. There we go. Much better. So you have the ability to interface with anything that I'm sharing with you this way. Okay? Now when I stop sharing, you guys notice that you have that icon in the upper right-hand corner. So this is a way for you to change how you see the people that are on this session. And it all depends on the real estate of your screen that determines the number of people that you're able to see. So you can do the kind of Brady Bunch effect, or you can do the, it's called switch to follow the speaker mode. And what happens is anybody who has their microphone on and who's talking, it automatically will switch to their profile picture on the screen to show everybody who's speaking at the current moment. And it does that automatically for you so that you don't have to toggle it, which is pretty cool. So you have two views. You have a group mode and you have a speaker mode, depending on how you want to see the profiles. And once again, you only see this when the moderator is not sharing something with you. So the next thing I'm going to share is this slide right here. And this is just reminding you that it's using WebRTC browsers, real-time communication browsers, and it's the two browsers that I mentioned to you, which is Google Chrome and Mozilla Firefox. And you know it's a WebRTC browser because you'll get that message at the top of your screen in the browser. If you get that message that shows up on the right-hand side, this is how you know you're using a Flash-based browser, when that message comes up that says allow. So you're going to have a different experience in Collaborate using a Flash-based browser versus using a WebRTC browser. Okay, just wanted to point that out to you. And the first time that you try to turn on your audio and video, whatever message you receive, determines what type of browser you're using. That makes sense to you guys? Okay. Next thing I want to share. Yep. Okay, so you have this. This is just kind of a review of what we've been talking about. So, and I'm going to start in the upper left-hand corner. If you want to talk, you just click on the mic button and wait for it to turn green. If you want to send a text message, you have the chat icon in the Collaborate panel. If you need to troubleshoot, you just go to My Settings. And if you are talking using the phone, you can click on the phone icon. You're not going to see it unless you actually called in on the phone. You can click on the phone icon, and that will mute your phone for you. All right, so that's a review of the tools that you have available to you in Collaborate. Now, one thing I want to mention to you, and this is very important, when you go to share something for the first time, so if you want to, like I'm sharing with you documents right now, I'm sharing with you images, you are going to have to install an extension on your browser in order for you to be able to share things in Collaborate. When you go to share something for the first time, like if you're using Google Chrome will say, you need to install this extension, and it will say, would you like to install it now? And you can say yes or no. It's called the WebRTC extension. Let me just verify the exact name of the extension. It's called, the extension itself is called Desktop Sharing, and it's a WebRTC desktop sharing extension. But like I said, Collaborate will ask you to install that extension automatically. So here's what I want to do in order for you now to see what it looks like as a moderator versus a presenter. So if you haven't done so already, click on the Collaborate panel in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and go into the participants section where it says, where it has the people icon and the number 10. Everybody go into that section, please. And what I'm going to do is, notice that you see everybody's names in this session, and on the right-hand side, you're going to see an icon that's a circle with 3 dots inside of it. If you hover your mouse over that icon, you're going to see where it says Attendee Controls. And if you click on that, all it does is allow you to send a chat message to that individual person. And you'll also notice that Collaborate is giving you what kind of connection that you have to this session. If you hover over what looks like a wireless symbol, it tells you what kind of connection you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Bridget. And Bridget, I am going to click on those. Remember, it's different for me as the moderator. I'm going to click on the circle with the dots next to your name, and I'm going to make you the moderator. You have to look to the right of your name, Lois. So I have just now upgraded your privileges, Bridget, to a moderator. So what I'd like you to do is to now go into the participant list and make Gary a moderator.
Yikes.
Very good. And now, Gary, you go and make Jennifer a moderator, clicking on the circle with the line with the dots in it to the right of your name.
To the right of my name?
To the right of Jennifer's name. Make sure you're in the area that has the people icon and the number 10. So you can see all the participants.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Well, I don't see the 3 dots next to Jennifer's name.
Do you see where it says Jennifer Pulver?
Yes?
And if you move your mouse to the right of her name, you don't see a circle with 3 dots in it?
Yes, I do.
And then you should see an option that says Make Moderator.
What it allows me to do is send a chat message.
Okay, so we have 2 options for you. So Bridget, upgrade Gary number 2 to a moderator. Because Gary, you're in there twice. There we go.
Yeah,
That's right.
I was in originally with the wrong browser, so I went in the second time with a different browser.
Oh, okay. Very good. So now you should have the ability to upgrade Jennifer.
Make moderator.
Yes. Perfect. So Jennifer, you do the same for Kevin. All right. Kevin, you do the same for Lois. All right. And now Lois, you should see to the right of Marianne's name a circle with 3 dots next to it. Oh, Lois, I see what you're talking about now. You're not going to see, I see what you mean. You're not going to see that icon next to your name because the only option you have is to text, is to chat. Yes, good. Very good. Now, all of you are moderators, which means you now have full access to Collaborate. So I want you to click on where it says Share Files down at the bottom of the screen, or Share Content. And I want you to notice the difference. So now you're able to share the whiteboard, share applications, share files. You're going to see where it says polling and breakout rooms. I'm going to talk about those a little bit later. So just focus on the 3 at the top where it says share content. And I want you to notice what happens when you try to share something. If you get something that opens up on your browser that is asking you to install an extension, especially you might get it if you try to share an application, like your browser window. When you want to turn off the sharing, it's in the upper right-hand corner. It looks like a dot or a bullseye. Just click on that and it stops sharing whatever it is you're sharing. Plus, I want you to notice if you're trying to share a file, there's only 3 types of files you can share: image, PowerPoint, or PDF. Those are the only 3 types of files you can share. And with image, it's going to be a JPEG, a GIF, or a PNG file. Those are the 3 types of images: JPEG, GIF, or PNG. And you should see my files that I already have in there. And by the way, when you upload files to your Blackboard Collaborate session, those files stay there. So you only need to upload them one time and they'll always be in the session. If you don't want them anymore, you can just click on the delete symbol to the right of each one of those files to get rid of them. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm now going to demote all of you back to participants. All right, sorry. You had your 15 minutes of fame, and now you're back to lowly participants where you have to follow along with me now for the rest of the session. Does anybody have, at this point, any questions, anything they want me to review before I go on? Okay, good. Good. So let me ask you this question. What do you think of Blackboard Collaborate so far? Do you think, and I'll give you some choices. I'm going to give you some choices. So check this out, because I'm going to show you what polling means. Hold on, you're going too fast. I'm going to show you what polling means. These are your options. Okay. Oops. Hold on. Now watch what happens. I'm going to turn polling on. And you're going to get 4 choices. Ready? There you go. So now you just respond based on the choices that I gave you on the whiteboard. This is how polling works. I ask you a question verbally. You cannot put the options in the poll. You put the options in a whiteboard or you have it on a PowerPoint slide. And then the participants will select the option that they think is the best one. So like A would be 1, B would be 2, C would be 3, D would be 4. And then what I can do is show the responses. So there you go. Very good. So 5 people. 5 of the 9 think that this Collaborate is stellar. So that's how polling works. Okay. Next thing I'm going to show you is how to set up a Blackboard Collaborate session in Blackboard. So I'm going to share my screen with you. You're going to get this, the share of the share of the share. That's because I'm sharing the Collaborate session. But when I click on Blackboard, you should now see Blackboard. So if anybody cannot see Blackboard, just let me know. But I'm going to just keep going. So Blackboard Collaborate Ultra is it's in every Blackboard course, effective fall 2017. Where you find Blackboard Collaborate Ultra is in the lower left-hand corner of your course called Course Tools, in Course Tools. When you click on Course Tools, you're going to notice one of the options says Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. It's right here. Your students also have access to Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. So that's a good question, Marianne. So she said, what if you're not in a course? So you have to be in a Blackboard course or a Blackboard organization in order to access Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. So what we're doing at the iSchool is we're creating one organization, and we're going to put everybody in there, and then you'll be able to create as many Blackboard Collaborate sessions as you want in that organization. So watch what happens when I click on Blackboard Collaborate in the Course Tools. So it takes you to the Blackboard Collaborate Ultra screen, and you're going to see that this is the Blackboard Collaborate session that I've already made. But I'm going to click on Create Session so that you can see the options. Okay, so a panel opens on the right-hand side, and we'll call this faculty meeting. Now this is where you have, you can specify whether you want guests to come in or not into this session. If you uncheck guests, then you can't send out the link publicly to people to come into the session. Only people who are in your course or in your organization can attend that session if you uncheck guest access. So keep that in mind. Also, what role do you want to give your guests when they come into the session by default? And you'll notice that it says participant. And then you'll see to the right of that is the guest link. This is the link that you would send to anyone who's not in Blackboard, who you want to attend your Collaborate session. So you have to be in Blackboard to create the session, but people who are attending the session do not need to be in Blackboard. And that's how I sent the link out to you guys. I allowed guests, sent you the link, you clicked on the link, and it took you right into Blackboard. Now, you're going to notice that there's a start date and time and an end date and time. Blackboard does use this. So when you put in a start date and time and an end date and time, when that end date and time hits, you can no longer use that session. It's over. So remember that. You're going to see right underneath that it says no end, open session. That means it's always available. So you can use that same session for multiple purposes, just like you did in Adobe Connect. So you don't have to create a different session for different reasons. You can use the same session and still use it for different reasons. And then you can do like a repeat session. So if you do put an end on there, you can create like a lot of instructors use Collaborate Ultra for office hours. So they'll create a different session for each time they offer office hours. And typically it's the same day and time, just a different week. So they'll just repeat the session weekly. Early entry, how long do you want them to be able to come into your session early? I leave the default 15 minutes, but you'll see you can even make it 60 minutes if you want, or no early entry. They have to come in at the time that it starts. So best practice, I would encourage you to let them come in at least 15 minutes early so that they can get comfortable with the interface, and if there's any problems, you can help them troubleshoot. Okay, so let's look at the session settings. So what's the default attendee role? So here's something to think about. If you're creating a Blackboard Collaborate Ultra session in your course and you want students to be able to use this session to be able to meet virtually, then I would encourage you to change this option from participant to moderator so that they have all the features of Blackboard Collaborate. So when they go in automatically, it's going to give them the role of moderator. And then for recording, it says, do you want to be able to allow recording downloads? Now, this is a huge feature of Blackboard Collaborate that's different than Adobe Connect. If you choose this option, allow recording downloads, it automatically downloads the file into an MP4 file. So you're now able to share that file very easily in different applications. And it's really quick. So I would encourage you that if you're going to record your sessions, that you allow the downloading into an MP4. Then you can put the MP4 into any video editing program, and you can edit out those things that you no longer want in the session, and only keep the important things. If you need help with that, all you have to do is contact me, and I'll help you. I have tons of free video editing tools that you can use to cut out those things that you don't want. You have the option to anonymize chat messages, show profile pictures for moderator only, and then here's where you're giving your participants rights to do things. Do you want to allow them to use audio and video? Do you want to allow them to post messages, chat messages? Do you want to allow them to draw on the whiteboard and files? So these are settings that you can turn on and off at will, meaning you can turn these on and off even when you're in the session. And then do you want to allow attendees to join the session using a telephone? I would encourage you to always keep that checked. By the way, these are the default options. I haven't checked anything yet. And now you see the private chat. Participants can only chat privately with moderators. I would encourage you to check that option. It's not checked by default. And you also have the option for moderators to supervise all of the private chats. So even if you allow your participants to private chat, they're not going to get the chat until you say it's okay for them to receive that message. You have the option of doing that. So those are your settings that you have for the session, and then you click on Save. Now, when you do that, here's your session that shows up in Blackboard. Keep in mind that I did not choose Keep Open Session, so it has a start date and an end date. If I want to make any changes to the settings of this session, I have this option right over here, and you'll get used to this, the editing options, circle with the three dots. I can edit the settings, and I can say, you know what, make it an open session. I don't want to close it. And now the end time changes. When I'm ready to send this link out to other people to be able to attend my session, I'm going to drop down that arrow, and you'll see right down here, it says Copy Guest Link. When I click on that, it automatically copies that link for me, and I can now paste it into an email or into a website for people to be able to attend my session. You'll also notice in these edit options you have View Reports. What this does is it lets me know who was on the session and how long that they stayed on the session. So if you're doing a virtual course and you have more students than you can keep track of at one time, you can run the report, tell you who attended the session and how long they stayed on. So if somebody left early, you're going to know. So that's a really good feature. Okay. So does anybody have any questions on how to create a Blackboard Collaborate Ultra session? Okay, good. The other thing I want to mention to you is, if this is something that you're going to use a lot in your course or in your organization, I'm going to encourage you on the left-hand side here to create a button, create a link to Blackboard Collaborate. And if you're not sure how to do that, Blackboard Collaborate Ultra is a tool in Blackboard, and you can create a button to any tool in Blackboard. If you hover your mouse over that plus sign, you're actually going to create what's called a tool link. So I'm going to call this Blackboard Collaborate. And right now you see achievements. It's organized in alphabetical order. If I drop down that arrow, here's Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. Make it available so my students can see it. Click Submit. And now I have a link down here where my students know where to go. And when I click on this, it takes you to the same window that we were just in. If you want to see the recordings of any of your sessions, that's up here in the left-hand corner where it says Menu. You drop down that arrow. All right, so, okay, there we go. And then you'll see recordings. And then this is a recording from a previous session that I did. You got a little bit of a delay. There you go. And then if I go over here, drop down that arrow, see where it says download? It's going to download it into an MP4. Oh, okay, good question, Marianne. So how do you record? So that is in the session in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, your three dots. Not the dots, the three lines in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Hold on. I'm going to stop sharing my Blackboard session. And Marianne, I'm going to go in and I'm going to give you moderator access. Now, Marianne, if you click on those three lines in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see stop recording. Don't click on that, but I'm recording the session right now. It would say start recording. So you just click on that option. So you say, Jeff, I would like to see that too. So I'm just going to go ahead and make everybody moderators. If you click on the 3 lines in the upper left-hand corner, the 3 lines in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see where it says stop recording. Don't choose that option, but if you wanted to record for the first time, you click on those 3 lines and it'll say start recording, and then it'll start recording your session automatically for you. And then you get those recordings in Blackboard right in your course. So even if you don't download the file into an MP4, you still have the recording right there for all of your students to be able to find and to use, to maybe, to review once again. So everything's built into Blackboard. That's the idea. There's nothing extra you have to do. It's all right there. So it's 11:56, and I want to be cognizant of your time. So just to review, I've shown you the interface of Blackboard Collaborate. I showed you the tools that you have available for you to use, made all of you moderators, and I showed you how to make yourselves moderators. Showed you the whiteboard and how to use the tools on the whiteboard. And I showed you how to create a session in Blackboard and then how to link to that session on one of your buttons in your Blackboard course. Does anybody have any questions, any comments, anything you want to review at this point in time? Yes, Marianne, do you have a question? No question? Just want to raise your hand. Anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about or review? Silence. If you don't put in an end date, do you need to end the meeting so the session recordings are separated? It actually, once you close the browser or close the tab, the meeting will end automatically. So even if you don't choose end session formally, once you get out of the browser window, it'll end. All right, well, let me do this. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining the session, Jen. I appreciate it. I just want to give you guys my, thanks, Gary, I appreciate it. I just want to give you my email. If you have any questions as you're using Collaborate, feel free to give me an email. If you want to practice using Collaborate, I'm happy to practice with you. If you want to try it out first before your first session, give me an email and let's schedule a time and we'll do it together so that you feel comfortable using the tools in Collaborate. I think you're going to find it's a very easy tool to use. I think you have found that. It is what it is. There's no extra bells or whistles to it. What you see is what you get. Shows you how to use polling or what polling is about as well. So I will be holding other sessions throughout the spring semester as well. And if there's anything extra that is involved in Collaborate, I'll be sure to include those things into the sessions. So thank you very much for attending today. I really appreciate it. And have a great Friday and have a great weekend as well.